Hey YouTube, you have Leonard here. Bringing guys and gals, Kanojo Okudishimasu. We're here, Rent a Girlfriend, chapter 238, the review portion. So everybody, per the usual, as you guys know, follow me of course on Twitch, link description box down below where I do all of my live reactions. And again, you can find chapter 238, my full reaction, panels, etc. on the Twitch side while it's up, so definitely come through. But everybody, I really want to talk very quickly about this chapter in particular from Kazuya's perspective. Because I think that Kazuya, and we know the stuff with Chizuru towards the end, which I will get to, but I really do think that from Kazuya's perspective, this was such a very, very good chapter. From the depression that he was starting to feel, the hopelessness, to ultimately where he ends up, where Chizuru's about to finally confide in him. Finally. So when this chapter started off, he wanted to say something, of course, to Chizuru, but he realized that she wanted to say something to him. And Kazuya's just like, I don't know exactly what is happening. He kept trying to get her to spill the beans. What did she want to talk about? She wouldn't do it. And the thing that really sucked, I feel, everyone from Kazuya's standpoint, is that the more time goes by in the series or in this chapter where he's not hearing anything from Chizuru, he wasn't sure where he stands. And Kazuya, as we know, like just came off of like a whole 2.5 month period of depression, thinking that Chizuru didn't like him, that Chizuru didn't care about him. So in this situation now, as time keeps going more and more, and Chizuru's not saying anything, he starts thinking, this can never happen. This isn't going to be a thing. Maybe she really does hate me. So I think all in all, that was pretty interesting from Kazuya's standpoint. But I do want to read one part very quickly from the chapter. And this is when Kazuya was kind of like in his thoughts, thinking through everything. He said here, and I quote, "Even if I say that I won't forget anything, every time I see her smile, I get afraid of being hated by her." Keep in mind, for Kazuya, I honestly believe, and I've said this before, if Chizuru didn't like Kazuya, I think he would accept it. It would hurt, but he could accept it. The one thing that Kazuya everybody cannot accept is being hated by Chizuru. That's the one thing that will completely hurt and just destroy him. He goes on to say, unable to take a single step forward for all of eternity, like parallel lines. I mentioned this in the reaction, but this whole idea of like thinking about his love as parallel lines is very, very important, because if you think about parallel lines, the whole thing is that they travel. Parallel lines travel infinitely, but they never touch. They can never touch. And that's the way Kazuya was beginning to think that this whole entire thing with Chizuru is going to be. Something where no matter what he does, no matter how hard he tries, he can never get across to Chizuru. Chizuru will never truly understand how he feels, and he never had a shot. That's how Kazuya was feeling at this point. He says, all I ever be is a great guy, a classic case of being just another nobody. So at this point in the chapter, honestly, like I'm afraid, and I'm feeling pretty sad for Kazuya, because you can just imagine his mental disposition. And again, just coming off, as I said before, the 2.5 months of not even having contact with Chizuru, her ignoring him, etc. Kazuya is just completely broken. So you see him start to kind of descend, but that's where this chapter for me now takes off. Chizuru finally comes through. This is the first chapter in probably like, 10-15 chapters where I can earnestly say I was happy with Chizuru's character. Not because I don't understand her. I understand everything that's been happening with her hesitancy, why she's acting the way she does. I get it. Doesn't mean I have to like it, but I do get where she's coming from. But this is the first time that I can say that Chizuru finally redeemed herself. She finally decided to face things head on and not run away. And I love that progression, because in chapter 236, when we had the ending, Chizuru looked like an individual who, after taking the time to really step back and think, she had resolve. She now knew what it is that she wanted to do. And I love that now in chapter 238, we get that payoff. She gives him chocolate. One thing I really hate about this whole time skip, and you guys know about it in the comment section, I thought about Labor Day from like the United States Labor Day being in like September, not realizing that Labor Day in Japan is different. It's like November. So they missed Christmas. They missed the New Year's. They missed Valentine's Day. All of this was skipped over, which I hate with a passion. And Kazuya is so shocked because she's like, this is for you. And he's just like, wait, what? And it's chocolate. Valentine's was 2 weeks ago, but she got him chocolate. And now Kazuya, you can kind of see like the rise. Kazuya's just like, wait, does she already have this prepared? I don't know if she did or did not. But he's like, does she already have this prepared? That means she doesn't hate me. That means she wanted to give this to me but couldn't bring herself to it. And now at this point, you can see that Kazuya starts to all of a sudden relax a little bit. Look at Twitch chat, Thanksgiving. Do they have Thanksgiving in Japan? I don't know, guys. I don't know. For those who are from Japan or those who know, is Thanksgiving a thing in Japan? I always think about like more of like the US, but who knows? Who knows? But you see Kazuya just thinking to himself, and he's just like, huh. So now he's rising up, and now he feels confident. Now he knows at this point, I need to spill the beans. I need to tell her exactly like how I feel here. And he talks about how it's not all her fault. I disagree. But he's like, I made mistakes, and I want to apologize. And you don't have to feel bad. Yeah, I'm already explained the Ruka stuff. But I want you to understand something, Chizuru. All those things I said back there, referring to, again, Paradise, the Hawaiians, I meant it. I meant it. Exact panels when he goes, he says basically the fact that Chizuru's the one that he loves. And finally, we're having this conversation, this dialogue, which needed to happen, honestly, at the very end of the Hawaiians arc, which I wish we had gotten, but is what it is, where he's letting her know, like, this wasn't just me saying this on a whim. I meant it. And then addressing the fact that at the beach that time with you, and this time, you said it was to help me, but I can't help but feel like this time the beach, they're very different, because they are Kazuya. And he talks to her about this. He brings it up. And he's just like, just maybe, I want to understand if you had time, if you'd be willing to talk to me. What's going on in your mind? Now, at this point, Kazuya's completely exceeded my expectations. I'm just like, Kazuya, you've done great. Back to Chizuru. But he starts to run. He's just like, I can't believe I said that. I put it all out there. He really did. And Kazuya's about to run away. And the best part of the chapter, which I was not expecting, because traditionally, or Deiji in this, everybody, Deiji has a way of completely subverting my expectations in a bad way. Of honestly, the thing that you expect should be taking place, the logical course of action, doesn't always necessarily happen. But this time, again, in harmony with this change that we're seeing in Chizuru, we have a more mature Chizuru in this chapter. She doesn't try to run away. She doesn't try to hide. She's done with that for all purposes that we can see. And she stops him. She's just like, I'll tell you. If you're willing to give me a little bit of time, I will tell you everything. And at this point, I'm just like, I lost it. I honestly didn't think we were going to get this. I know I mentioned something to this degree in my last chapter review. I mentioned, I think, in the comment section. But I didn't think we were actually going to go through an earnest conversation. And now it looks like everyone for next chapter, I'm very excited because we're finally going to see Chizuru's thoughts. And that's what we really need. We know how Kazuya feels. We kind of can infer how Chizuru feels. But we don't truly know from her mouth what is going on in her mind. And Kazuya doesn't know this. If they can finally have a conversation, I think at this point, everything will be taken care of, with the exception of one thing, as I've said before. Ever since the Ruka dynamic was introduced in chapter 235, 236, I am a firm believer that at some point, Chizuru and Ruka have to have an earnest conversation. Until that happens, I don't think her and Kazuya can fully reconcile or even take the steps of becoming a couple in the event that Chizuru even likes Kazuya. We don't know that. We assume, but we don't know. So I'm hopeful in the next chapter, in terms of like my prediction, I am hopeful that in the next chapter, Chizuru is going to convey her thoughts. She's going to talk about how they went through the whole rental stuff. She's going to tell Kazuya finally when she started to have feelings for him. I have my inferences as to when that might have been. I think the movie arc, we always point to the movie arc, but I do believe that Chizuru liked Kazuya before the movie arc had taken place. The feelings were already kind of getting established. I think the movie arc really cemented things for Chizuru, that Kazuya was someone that she loved. And that was really made clear after the movie arc, or after the movie took place, when her and Kazuya had the after party, or the party of Umi, etc. So Chizuru's going to tell Kazuya everything, I hope. That's my prediction. Once she started to fall for him, how she feels about him currently, why it is that she ran away, why is it that she's been doing all these stuff, and ultimately the verdict in terms of what she wants to do going forward. And I do anticipate that the rental girlfriend situation will be brought up, because the professional side of Chizuru, it still matters to her. I really do think that her being a rental at the end of the day, and that being her job, it matters to her, and she'll feel as if that she's not doing right by her job for the way that she's been acting, which to me will also lead to, this will not happen next chapter, but I do think by the end of all of this, if she does end up with Kazuya, she's going to quit the rental job. That's my prediction. So we'll see if that ends up happening in the next chapter too. I think that's where we're going to kind of go with this one. And I guess in terms of a rating, I'm honestly really happy with this chapter. If I had to give this a rating, 8.5. I'm feeling like an 8.5. Like, this is a very good chapter. 8.5 to a 9 for me personally in terms of this chapter. Not because it was the most amazing chapter we've seen, and maybe I give it an 8.5 just because I feel like this had to happen. This really did have to happen. But the fact that we got everything that we needed and a conversation dialogue finally took place, to me, that is perfect. So we will see what happens from Chizu's side, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yes, I do hope everybody, someone just mentioned this on the Twitch side, won't happen next chapter, but at some point soon, this whole conversation of what Chizu discussed with Umi, I do hope we get some clarity on that at some point. I don't think it'll be in this arc because at this point in time, I do feel like Deiji's setting up to do one final arc, and this may not be it. I hope this is it. But I think Deiji might be setting up for one more arc, and I do think Umi is going to be a factor, probably in a bad way. As I said before, whether Umi has bad intentions or not, I do think Umi is going to end up being a plot point to cause drama. And between the conversation with her and Umi not taking place, and us really not knowing where his allegiance like lands, it's hard to say. But I do kind of hope that at some point we get that, and I think we will in a future arc. Look at Twitch comments. I don't like you, but I don't not like you. That indeed, the Umi conversation. I do remember that. So yeah, everybody. So with that, I got nothing else to add here. Very good chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you like my content. It is greatly appreciated as always. And with that, I'm Leonard, and I'm out. Take care, everybody, and have a good one. Johnny. Peace.